category is Chip Chat Show.
Hey,
Fuck.
my friend.
Wait, does people hear me? That's the only thing now.
I can also hear you.
Fuck.
I couldn't hear you on the other one.
Well, this is my guess. This account is connected to another account that I have, and the other account is private. So I'm guessing that is because the other account was private.
Yeah.
But in that case, it's still fucked up. Either way, it's fucked up. Oh, fuck's sake. Okay. So you were giving a tour.
What's that?
You said that you were giving a tour, so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I figured I was on it, so there's Cuppa. Had people set up. I have figures ready to go. Got Tomy. And
Yeah, I saw that one. But she seems a bit smaller. She is on the
World Box.
the World Box body.
Yeah.
How many do you have yet?
The World Box?
Yeah, how many of them?
I have 3 of them.
Hmm.
And I like them a lot, especially when their arms are covered and their legs.
Yeah.
You don't see that.
The joint.
Yeah.
But I love the blushing on the knees.
Right. Yeah. But, I really like them. That I think someone was saying, I think it might have been Legacy Rise of Vera the Strong, that they're really hard to pose, and they are.
Seriously?
I have. What's that?
They are?
Well, to a certain extent, like they have a great range, like that because of the elbow, you can do things like this, which is nice, and really get a good posing that way. But like I have my Zoe figure on one of these, and I can't get her on her motorcycle anymore because it's just like there's a lot of movement, in like the joint here.
Yeah.
Like that's great, but when you come to the joints in the hips and the like, it gets harder. You can't get the same
range of motion.
Yeah, wave of motion. So I've tried a couple of times, and it just doesn't look as good as the Fison did on the motorcycle. But for me, it's like a trade-off. So it's like I'm gonna just have that character sell her motorcycle. She crashed on it anyway at one point, so just fix it that way, and then some other person will buy the motorcycle.
You got to make it work.
Yeah,
you got to make it work.
Exactly. So,
but is it harder to find clothes for them?
In some respects, like I always get like the larger hip ones because it's like if I'm gonna do it, I might as well get something out of it that other ones don't have. So that gets tricky. But like I found that you could do skirts and let's see, hold on a second. The other one here. These work really well. These little stretch pants.
Oh yeah.
But you can see it's just like this a wider hip, ratio, and it's just not going to fit. A lot of the pants that the Fisons barely fit in. I mean, you look at the Janice, who's also a little wider hips and hard to find clothes to fit her. So,
that's the problem with the Fisons.
Yeah. And if you were doing, the Barbie stuff is all over the place, and they're just sticks with feet, and so all their clothes are just wafer thin, and it's a lot easier to find. So,
favorite lunatic. True that. Okay.
Yes.
Let's start.
Yes.
First of all, do you call them your dolls or your figure?
It depends. I do. What? I think I'm cutting my head off here. Wasn't used to this step. I bounce around. I'm not scared to call them dolls because that's what they are. but I'm a 55-year-old dude doing this, and I just really don't care anymore. Like people, I stopped posting stuff to my personal Facebook account because I got tired of people going like, "Are you okay? Should we call somebody?" You know, jokingly, because
Yeah.
it's like they can't fathom, you know, doing doll stories or whatever. So I just avoid that. I don't need that.
Mm-hmm.
But I've gotten to a point, especially recently, where I go out in public more with figures to take shots. I drive my Jeep around outside, um, and I just don't care because it's like it's like one of the things that brings me joy. So uh, whether I call them dolls or figures or whatever, it just happens. Like sometimes I'll say, "Oh, my dolls," or sometimes I say, "Oh, my figures," just because I'm old school and there were always action figures in the boy category.
Yeah.
You know, GI Joes were always action figures, and then Barbies were dolls. And so, because I'm old, I just have that in my head. It's not that I'm trying to uh,
But I agree on
sneak in.
that.
Yeah.
I agree on that. It's just, in my opinion, at the moment, I really feel like it's more a marketing strategy. We call them action figures, so we're targeting boys' audience. We call them dolls, so we're targeting girls' audiences
Mm-hmm.
and all that kind of stuff. And so, but I rather ask before, because some people might just, call them dolls or action figures. Um, so one of the other questions that I had was, which one was your first doll figure that you had in your collection? Because you, for the record, for everyone to get the info, this is a restart that you're having. It's not a new beginning. You have been in the doll figure community before.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm asking for the first time that
Like
you went,
way back,
like
or
way back when you started to do doll photography or action figure photography. Which one was your first doll figure?
um, I like I said, I'm old, so like way back
No
when I was,
age
yeah.
shading here, okay?
Hey,
We
I'm embracing.
respect
I just turned into a
all
grandpa,
ages.
so I'm embracing it. Um, I used to get GI Joe figures, and I still
Wow.
remember, um, back in the day, it was Toys R Us. You go to Toys R Us, there's GI Joes, and I got, I had one, just a regular GI Joe, but then one Christmas, the biggie was I got the GI Joe set that had, it was a submarine. It was like a white submarine,
Wow.
and it had a little squid that came with it. And the cool gimmick was that the submarine would fill up with water and it would sink, and then you blow into, I think you blew into a tube, and that blew air in, and that made the submarine come up.
That's wild.
Yeah. And oh man, we had a pool at the time at the apartment complex we were living in. So I was in the pool with that thing and just playing like crazy. It was the best.
I forgot
Uh,
sometimes that you are from the United States, and that United States you have that kind of apartment when you have the pool, because in Europe and especially in France we do not have that. So it's kind of funny to remember that.
right. Sorry, I'm like trying my phone plugged in so it doesn't run out of battery on me. Um, but yeah, that was one of the first memories I had. And then I have a redo of it over in the corner here, the Evil Knievel. It was a smaller figure. I think it's about, um, I don't know, it's not 12th scale. It's a little bit bigger than that, but it's a, yeah, I'll get it. Hold on a second.
At this point.
Yeah.
Keep the audience busy. Go ahead. Well, busy not that much
It's
because I'm
very
this
it's
mic too
dusty at
much.
the moment, but it's this Evil Knievel figure, and it goes in this little thing here, and then you turn this crank on the side, and it makes makes the wheel turn, and you crank it, and then when you stop cranking it, it takes off and it does wheelies and all sorts of stuff. And this is a redo of it, recent redo, but back in the day we had this thing and just hours of just what else can we jump it off of, you know? And you could pose it and all sorts of stuff. Wasn't trying to take pictures of it, but
Have you watched Toy Story 4?
I have not seen the fourth one.
You have to watch it now that I've seen this.
Yeah, because isn't there like a character like that?
It's something like that. I will not spoil, but you have to watch it though.
Right.
Because of that. So when did you start photography, toy photography or doll photography? How did it come up?
It's funny because I was just thinking when you said that, I went from, you know, when I was older and had cash, I started buying the blue box figures, which were a lot of military stuff. And I was talking to somebody about it. I had so many like 6-scale vehicles. It was a total comfort thing where it was just like, I gotta get another thing. And so I had Jeeps, and I had 2 helicopters, I had an ambulance, and I think it was Blue Box. They put out a lot of these things. It was 21st Century Toys did some as well. And they were huge, and I didn't even take pictures really. I took some pictures, but I had some at work. And it got to a point where I brought mine in, and then other people started buying them because it's like, those are cool. Where'd you get that? So I worked in an agency. So I was a creative in an agency, and in the creative area, we were doing stuff like I hung a helicopter from the ceiling, a 6-scale helicopter, and all that. So I still wasn't really doing a lot of photography at that point. It really was, you know, the advent of, you know, the iPhone coming, you know, more around. And then I started doing a lot of photography for my train stuff. I used to do N-scale train stuff, and then switched out of that when we moved. I broke that whole thing down and started doing the 6-scale stuff. And that's when I started doing more photos at that point. So I got
pretty late.
Yeah. I wasn't, because there was, you know, at the time, if you think about it, there was like Flickr I had stuff on.
True.
But, you know, very rarely did you even, you know, have any kind of traction there.
Pretty correct, actually. Yeah. There was Flickr. There was also, no, because Google Photos came really late also.
Yeah.
So, yeah, at that time, yeah.
Yeah. So
it reminds me of a French song. I can't remember the lyrics, but it's Charles Navour who sing the song, and the saying is, "Tell me the story of a time that the under-20s don't know about."
Yeah.
And I'm feeling pretty much like that too now.
Oh yeah.
So at the moment, do you take photos with a phone or with a camera?
I do a phone because these cheaters, I've tried doing it. I have a nice camera. I have a nice Canon, and it was fine. But then when my eyes started going, it was a pain to look through the viewfinder with glasses. Like,
glasses on, yeah, true.
And then even then, I think I was in focus, and I wasn't. And then I go and do like a batch of photos, and then like have like the background perfectly clear and the doll.
Oh fuck! I hate those moments.
I got sick of it, and so now the iPhone has has 3 settings basically, and I don't know the technical jargon for it, but the one of them, if you hit it, you can kind of fake it pretty well as far as you get the correct lens look. It doesn't look like, you know, it does something to like zoom in a little bit, and then you don't get that weird like bowing on the sides and stuff that can really kind of ruin photo. And then I always, you know, I never take it this way. I take it horizontal, which also helps. Unless, you know, I've done some where I'm trying to show off an outfit or something, I'll do it that way just because you get more in the frame.
But I'm surprised because I thought it was on the camera, because it's like, you know, Aurora. Yeah. She's doing photos with her phone too. And if I didn't saw her take the photos with her phone, I will still believe that it was actually a camera, like a Nikon or a Canon.
Yeah.
And I was kind of feeling the same way when it comes to your photos, because I thought it was from a camera and not from a phone. So that's pretty impressive to be able to create that kind of details and to have all of the details and the pixels in these photos. That's pretty impressive.
It's that one setting. It really does. I got into a conversation on one of the groups on Facebook about that too, where everyone's like, what kind of camera are you using? And what is your, your f-stop and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, I use my phone all the time. Like, I always have it with me. I don't have to worry about the lighting as much, settings, all that kind of stuff. And I've gotten really good at, you touch the screen and that's what I want the focus on.
Yeah.
You could play with the light, if you hold it down and like, up or down. The things, there's weird little things that, because I'm doing, the magic and the witchcraft and all that kind of stuff. I have some lights that have, there's a really nice blue one I used to use a lot. It was a fish tank, of all things. And we got rid of the fish tank, but I was like, hey, this light is pretty handy. And it had 2 settings. One of them had like a lot of blue in it.
This is called recycle, reuse.
Yeah, it's like, this is useful. So I was setting that up and taking these shots, and it was doing weird stuff to the phone does not like a blue light. It just, it's something with the lens, and it just gets all funky. And sometimes it works, if I'm trying to do kind of weird effect. But that's the only kind of what's that?
Can be tricky to have colorful lights like the blue, but I love doing blue and pink photos, that kind of stuff. But it can easily turn oversaturated, and then you just burn the picture. You don't see anything.
Exactly.
So yeah, in blue light, I realized that recently it's really tricky to use correctly in doll photography.
Yeah,
it's pretty much tricky.
But that's what Photoshop is for.
True. When you have skills to do and use, that's one of the questions I was wondering about. Are you more raw photos or more into edit photos? If you make a ratio about all the doll photos that you have on your account, what will be the ratio?
I really, me, I think I've gotten better about my posts during the day. I've really made an effort to not flood it, because I was telling, again, Chris, Vera is Strong, I could do this all day and just keep telling stories, and I have so many figures and so many stories to tell. But I've gotten feedback, and it's like, I don't want people to miss stuff. I don't want to feel like I'm just flooding the market. So I've been doing a thing where I've been making an effort to set up images more and posing and taking more time with it. So I still do a lot of that, but I've also gotten into using Midjourney to do backgrounds because it widens my world up. So when I do that, then I'm shooting it and doing a lot of photo editing.
Yeah. Well, you have to match the lighting to match the. You have made a video on YouTube talking about that.
Right.
So that was pretty good also to know how you work on that, because I never do that. So that was pretty helpful to know your working process.
And it was fun. That was a fun one to do because there is a lot to it, and a lot of times I don't even think about it. But those little steps that I like to take, like I basically shoot it now against white, try to match the lighting as good as I can, especially if I'm in it, like looking at the image and saying, like in this case, I have a window over here that you can't see, but you can see the light is coming in here. And then if I'm using a Midjourney background that I've created, I try to at least match that big light source, because that's harder to fake. And then I go in and start doing stuff like I adjust the exposure in Photoshop and then, apply photo filters to kind of get the right, like if it's in a yellow room, I really make an effort to, change that to have a yellow bounce.
Yeah, so sure. There was something I was wondering about, because on the video, if I remember well, you have first the background and then you check the photos, or you already have the photos and then you create the background. Which one comes first?
I try to do a thing where I create the background first, because it's easier to match. So, but it again depends on what I'm doing. Like if I know it's going to be like a dark forest or something,
Sure.
that's pretty easy. But what I've been doing, like for the big warehouse thing where the paranormal podcast people were in the warehouse taking photos and stuff, I did all those warehouse pictures first, and that allowed me to match lighting and all that stuff a little bit better. But in some cases, I have like a whole folder of backgrounds that I just, I'll get bored. I'm like, what else could be, a thing? And so a lot of the Moore estate, all the bedrooms, all that kind of stuff. I just took a day, like, okay, bedrooms for a Gothic manor, and just a bunch, and then have that in a folder. And now I can go through and say, okay, well, like Eva's in this bedroom, Seth's in this one, and then I have to label it to make sure I don't, screw it up later.
That must be so well organized. I will never be able to do that for sure.
It's
maybe the first time I'm going to use that, but after a few weeks,
there's a lot.
Of course, there's going to be like the first folder will be named probably, and then you're going to have a bunch of new folder 1, new folder 2, new folder 3, and full labels on it.
It's a biggie, especially doing these virtual backgrounds. You gotta be, you lose track of where things are, and so if you're going to do that, you gotta be organized.
And especially in this hobby, we have to stay organized because of all the miniatures, the clothes, which clothes for which characters, and all that thing. So yeah, we have to keep our sheet organized.
Right, and that's helped a lot. Speaking of clothing, and it's that same kind of organizing where I have certain characters that they're all about the clothing. Like now I have Sun, I have Cindy. They always wear the same kind of clothes, and so what I do now, I have bags of clothes, like especially for Paige, who's always in pink, and Heather, who always has like a more of a sweet look to her. I've gathered the clothes that they wear all the time, and I put them in bags, and they only wear those clothes. Whereas other clothes, you'll see them on other characters because the clothes as big a deal for them.
Like the casual style clothes, like the white shirt and the blue jeans, that kind of. Yeah. But you mentioned earlier that you have many characters, many storyline going on, and that's pretty much impressive, by the way, just so you know. But how do you plan all those storyline? Which one comes first? Which one comes second? How do you get that storyline organized?
That, just like my figure buying, kind of got out of control. And I was just telling someone, it's like, yeah, it's time to kill off some characters again, or have to go away. And I've done that.
Oh my God, this is wild. Child.
I've done a couple.
What? Get rid of them, kill them all.
It's like, you're dead now.
Point, put a bomb, and that's all. Problem solved.
Yeah. And then some like this Janice character, she was killed off, and she came back,
that is kind of some Star Wars bullshit, like the character never die. They like come back once in a while, and she is just undeathable. You can't kill her. She's just...
There's certain characters I have that have what they call plot armor, which is they're never gonna get, like Cindy. I thought about it at one point. I'm like, wow, what if like no one would see that coming?
Who knows? Yeah.
But a lot of them don't have that plot armor, and so as far as the stories go, I realized, because I kept adding characters, and I love character creation and coming up with stuff, but I realized with that comes all these different storylines and things. And so what I've started to do now is I'm corralling and making it so there's less of these random storylines. I had a lot of those going on. So you'll notice, for people who are following the story, there's now like the paranormal investigation stuff that's going on and the weirdness of this area. And that's pretty much where my focus is now. There's not a lot of, seeing what's going on in Europe anymore, or, all these kind of things. There's a little bit of that. But I've really tried to corral it in and make it more about the Santa Clarita, San, oh man, those names, right? But the area that they're in, Claremont River Valley. That's it.
I won't
and
be able to help. I'm sorry, yeah.
That's
I will
another
be
thing as far as
supportive, but I won't be able to help.
as far as organizing goes. I have a sheet because, like,
No
again,
way.
what's that?
You have a sheet on that, Dad? Like the Excel kind of stuff?
Yeah,
You get
because
me.
it's one of those things where, like, I'll forget someone's last name or whatever, and so I have it all blocked off into sections. So there's like the Moore estate, everyone who's associated with that, the girls in the house, Cuppa, Kim and Paige,
Yeah.
with their first and last name and all that, because there's so many names and things. I'm going to screw it up, and most people won't even care. Like,
Yeah, but
Claremont River.
there is some people who will be just pointing out those things if you mess it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's why I never give a last name to my dolls.
Yeah.
They just have a first name, that's basically all. Maybe a nickname, but that's all.
It's easier, for sure.
Yeah. Or I'm just going to use, like, for Matthew, it was Müller, his last name, because it's the most common German name. If I had a French character, he will be named Dupont, like the main average name.
It's like John.
American, Johnson. Perfect.
Yeah, and that's perfectly acceptable. I just have so many that I really, it's like my OCD. I have to, like, keep aware of all that kind of stuff. Like Aurora actually pointed out that when I brought Zampa back, I was spelling her first name differently because I hadn't had it written down. And she's like, "Isn't it this way instead?" I'm like, "Oh, thank you." And I immediately added that to the list because it's like,
he definitely is the kind of person you will not mess on details.
Yeah.
She have an eye on every single thing. I just find it amazing.
It is amazing.
I don't understand how she just kind of being able to just save all this information, but mind-blowing.
It
really
is
mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's really amazing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I went off track. I don't know what we were talking about, storylines.
Yeah, but because there is a feeling that I have about the storylines. It's like watching the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There is a lot of character, there was a lot of stories. They were not connected to each and one of them. But because it kind of lost me at some point because there were so many stories.
Oh yeah.
I gotta admit, I played guilty about that. But I really got back about the two podcasts.
Oh,
the woman and the guy. I don't have the name memories, so no shade.
Seth and Eva. Yeah.
Those two, exactly. Because I really felt like those two characters were like creating an Avengers movie. They connected each and every single person together.
Right.
And I just was mind-blowing because this specific moment right now in your storyline is mind-blowing. I'm loving it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of the corralling, right? I realized I was all over the place. I had characters in Germany, they were fighting, the whole Halloween thing, it just drove me absolutely bonkers. And then I was talking to Steffi, and she was releasing Halloween stuff way after Halloween. I'm like, oh yeah, I could have done that. Like, I was trying to cram it all in.
You don't have to follow a trend.
Yeah. And so I realized I had so much going on that it was all over the place. And so between my Marty character and the podcasters, they're kind of helping me corral stuff up. So they're looking at all the stuff that's going on and trying to make these connections themselves. And the podcasters believe in all the all that stuff, and they want to see that stuff. Where Marty is just like, I don't care about any of that. That's bullshit. That doesn't happen. Werewolves, that's ridiculous. Witches, and so at some point those worlds are going to like kind of collide a little bit. The podcasters are seeing stuff that they want to see, but I think they're going to be like, hey, this is a lot. Like, this is more
when
than.
you've seen these potions come to work.
Exactly. That was one of the biggies. And it's just like, I was thinking about it, like they're the outside source seeing it, inside the story. And that's going to help kind of wrangle stuff.
Connected, yeah, sure.
Sections and meet these different people. It's going to be like, oh, that's that person, and all that. And that's why I think I'm going to have certain people, like I'm thinking about having Grazia, the redhead. I think she's going to go back to Italy at one point.
She's not going to die again, so.
What's that?
She's not going to die again.
Well, no, that's Zampa died. She's going to stay put because that was pretty final for her friends and family back home to, come back alive. But Grazia just escaped, so now that things are kind of calmed down, I think she's going to just go back, and she might, show up every once in a while, but little things like that, like just trim some of that stuff away so it's not so messy. And then, really focus on the main characters and the likes.
That's something that is I have a mixed feeling because it's quite admirable, but also funny. You have this capacity to just share so many content daily. I call you the spam king.
I've gotten better though.
Well,
it's all relative, right?
And I'm just wondering, how do you manage to create that much content on a daily basis?
It's an escape, to be honest. Like, I have a lot of stuff going on in my life in general. Just had a new first grandson. We're going to go back to Colorado to see my daughter, meet him for the first time. I got 2 kids here at home. I got a dog. I'm still job searching. I'm doing freelance work. I have a lot of these kind of like daily things I have to do.
And still, you are able to post 5 posts daily on Instagram. What the fuck? How?
It's all in here, and I have to like that's my escape. So when I do that stuff, and I'm able to like the video that I did recently of I'm just trying to read this. The one I did that Seth took a video of his room and that whole ghost thing.
Girl, that I've watched it maybe 3 or 4 times at the same moment. I was just swiping and getting back because there were so many details going on the video. It was just so cool and well done. So like the girl said on the Glow Up TV show, ding dong darling, ding dong.
Well, thank you. I had to stop myself because like it turned into it turned into a whole project. It's just like now I'm sourcing sounds and I have, since I do this for a living, I have access to all this stuff, so it makes it easy. But just like with my freelance work, a lot of it is, I'm walking the dog and I'm just thinking about it in my head, like, oh, this could be, sometimes I'm listening to a podcast or a book on tape. I'm old. But I actually have to stop listening because I have these storylines going and I'm trying to put it all together, or how I could, on that video, it's like how I could put it together. That I was up at, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, that'd be kind of cool. And I'm kind of going through and just kind of like thinking about it in my head first. And then when I have time to do it, I jump on it and do it. And I think that's what happens a lot is I'm planning and sourcing and all that. You can even see I have like a spoiler here, new character, of course. But it's all going on in my head. And so when I have time to do it, I do it, just set it up and go. and a lot of it's already pre-planned in my head. So it's, you know, I've actually stopped doing as much because I don't want to, you know, spam people and flood it.
Hold. To make sure. You what?
Oh, I can do that.
You did what?
Admit it's less than it was. But it's all relative. Like I do like two posts in the morning sometimes, and then like maybe like two posts late at night.
Girl, you said what the fuck? You making 4 posts per day. James said I struggle to do 5 a week. I struggle to do maybe 2 a week.
It's insanity. It's insanity is what it is. I
Delusional.
just have to like
And you're saying I'm making a bit of a slow here. I want to take it slow now, so I'm only making 3 or 4 per day. Yeah, because once in a while I like to do 10 in a day, but now I'm making myself, you know, like get yourself together for time.
well, a lot of it is like I even have it written down first and then go and shoot it, or you know, shoot it and then kind of as I'm shooting it kind of come up with a plot or whatever, but the big plot structure is already set. And so I'm doing a thing where I want to do a thing where I have story stuff, and not everything has to be big part of the story. So like, you know, I've done some shots where it's just like Kat and Tori just walking around and just like there's no dialogue, there's no story to follow. It's just an image, you know. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to pepper that in because I don't want people to get lost. I don't want the big picture to get lost on people, because then it's just I'm just doing it for me. Why even post it, you know?
Sure.
If people aren't able to follow it.
Sure.
So that's what I'm you know, trying to waver on now, and I have a Facebook page that I put stuff on as well, like a lot of old pictures and whatnot. So I'm not putting old pictures in because people get confused.
Mm-hmm.
And
you have this little blog that you post on it.
Right. Yeah, I have my blog, and the blog now I was trying to do like, you know, like story recaps.
Okay. Cool.
But it got really difficult. Because it's like another thing to do. It's like it's not a job. Like if I was making money, oh shoot, I would do it all day long. You know, I would do recaps and I have a whole thing where I want to do character bios, because, or like at least rough. This is where they were. Excuse me, because people are like, I don't know who that is. You know, I won't name names, but there's somebody who has issue with names, like keeping names straight. Mm-hmm. And so I'll say a name and they'll be like, I don't know who that was. Who is that again? You know? And so I figured if I had like a blog post with all these, like, here's the picture, here's the name kind of thing for people to refer to if they needed to, that might be a good thing.
Sure. And
then little things like that story we put, Aurora and I put in a lot of time on that story, that Italy story.
That was amazing.
That was a lot of fun. It was so much fun.
That was just amazing. As a viewer and a reader, it was just a masterclass on how to make a crossover. There was so many different information coming on one side and the other, and then they connect, and then that was just, and it was like, we call it the Cluedo in France. I don't know if that. It was just like that. Who, where, when, and with what. That was impressive. That was so great. Like a summer story was just so. It was
cool. A lot of fun to do, and so I want to take that. I found it. I downloaded my Instagram whole page basically, and I sourced it out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically copy and paste it onto my blog. I'm going to try to get Aurora's part as well, and then have it in order so you could just read it start to finish right there. Because you can't find anything on Instagram. It's like once it's on there, it's
you can't just swallow. Scrolling. Then you just turn on the left, and you have to get back and scroll again. We know that.
Yeah,
we've all been there.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna, because that was so, we put so much effort into that one. I'm gonna take it and compile it and put it on my blog, because that was a lot of fun. That was really cool.
Oh yeah. But speaking of story, how do you work about writing? Do you have all the plot and the ending in your head in advance and you just go with the track? Or you have some ideas and you go with the flow?
A lot of go with the flow,
Oh,
because a lot of, well, some of it I have big plans. So again, Detective Marty figuring stuff out, that's a big plan. The podcasters, there's a big plan there. Like just getting them into the estate, I was like, how am I going to get them in there? And I had to basically tweak Olivia's thinking, Olivia Moore, who runs the estate, change her thinking to, giving back to the community and trying to be less of a witchy, scary lady behind walls and stuff. And it worked. It wasn't exact what I wanted, but it got them in there at least. And now that they're in there, they can explore and stuff.
sure.
And so big stuff like that I do. And then some of it is just this weird thing where like I'll have the one I posted recently where Renair was playing the guitar for Zampa. It's just like I saw him and I saw her and I put them together, and it just kind of fit, and it's like, and then this lady was always around the background. She was just going to be like a background player, but then when I was taking the pictures, I'd see her in the background and she was always like looking at somebody, So that kind of got me thinking like, oh, what is she doing? Like she's just not hanging out being a nice lady in the background, maybe.
Sure.
And so there's some organic stuff like that where
That's pretty dope. So you just, when we said go with the flow, you also kind of check your photos and see, okay, this is getting used a lot and she appear a lot, and how to connect that and to create another story among this Marvel Cinematic Universe, or the Malcolm Cinematic Universe. That's true at this point.
Well, I mean, going back to it, I have, I have done like regular stories. I've been on like the Scare You to Sleep podcast with some stories that I've written. She does like fantastic work reading them. And she does sound effects and stuff. The first time I heard one, I was like, oh, I got to get her more because it's so great to hear your story in audio format, with someone who is really good at reading it. And so I have a lot of that background. I love cinema. I love films from, high-end Fellini to really low-end 80s horror, So there's a range of stuff that I just love.
We can tell there was
so the story is really important. I really like storytelling, and so the doll stuff kind of, it was great because I never really got off my ass to do a novel. I've done stories, but I've never written an actual book. I never got, I thought, oh, I'll write a screenplay and then I'll get money and I'll make the movie and all that. That never happened. And so now with the figures and the dolls and everything, I get to have my little
create,
So
but you have a background in designs and art and all the things, and so it kind of makes sense somehow to get in that path with the doll photo story and storytelling, when you think about it, because when you watched, I think, the earlier post you've made on this page, it wasn't as polished as it is. So it's funny to see the evolution of your craft.
I noticed that too. Recently, when I was looking for the Italy stuff, and then James wants to know where I'm going to Europe. I would love to go to Europe, and actually, I talked to my wife about going to Europe.
It's not that
because she's like,
far.
Europe.
It's not
that
far.
It's not that far, but again, like dog, kids,
well, there is kindergarten, there is dog garden, at some point. Well,
it'll happen. It'll happen for sure. But
we have the best French fries in here, just so you know. And the best pizza, just so you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. uh,
Yeah.
I was looking at. Oh, that's what it was. I was looking at some old pictures, and I used to do like a lot of green screen to try to get characters. Like I made ghosts and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I look back on it, I was like, ooh, like, like it was fine at the time, but
Yeah,
now
sure.
I kind of refined it a little bit more, and I've spent a little more time on it, and I'm happier with the overall look and
Mhm.
things like that. Creating more of the sets, the actual physical sets helps
True.
because there's less production involved and all that.
True.
So it is nice to see. There's nothing worse than when you look at older work, like I do it in freelance stuff all the time, and you just say, "Oh, look, I'm doing the same thing," and yeah,
4 years
but
after, it's
yeah, yeah,
concerning.
yeah, yeah. And so now to see the progression,
Mm.
even in the sets and things and how I shoot
Sure.
stuff, um, it's been nice to see that there is some movement forward. Again, slowing down has helped a lot. Um, Not just like because I was out of control, like because it was so new and fun, and it was like, oh, this is great, and I was
Mhm.
rushing to get stuff done, and there was one occasion where I got paint on a figure because I was so excited about getting some part of the set done that I sprayed it and then brought it in and shot it right away. And the figure fell against it and got paint on the sleeve. And it's just like, oh, okay, I gotta stop.
Well, no shade because I had a doll that I repainted and I put the varnish on it, the final
Oh
coat,
yeah,
and it was said that you have to wait at least 24 hours to make sure that it is fixed and you can do whatever you want. Fuck that. I was putting boiling water to make the plastic softer. I put the head and all the varnish just disappeared.
so
So wait. Sometimes it's good to wait.
yeah,
But it's easy to say, not that much easy to do.
yeah. Well, and there's little things too. Like I recently got a heat gun because um,
What?
it looks like a hair dryer basically,
Okay.
and it has two settings. I'm not gonna. It looks like a hairdryer. But what you do is you just hit, like when you're trying to put a hand on or something, you just hit it with the heat gun a little bit. As I found, you don't do it too much because it will melt it. But it just makes the
The
plastic
plastic softer.
softer,
Yeah.
and then you can put hands on and off and stuff without snapping wrists and stuff. And
Well, that's something, and we're gonna jump on that subject too later on, but I'm using that kind of fuck, wait, kind of stuff here. I don't know what it's called in English, but when you just put the coffee in it and
oh yeah,
you put it on the bag and you keep warm. And I like to use that because when you're doing outdoor photography, that can be pretty much helpful. So the hot gun, knowing me, I will be a bit too close and it might not end well. So
I ran into that. I used it on some hair one time, and I was like, oh, this hair is too wavy, and it was like everything was going on. So I took it on the low setting, and I did it, and the hair fell beautifully, and then I did my toothbrush combing, perfect.
oh,
And then I tried to do it with my friend here, and this is why she has this crazy punky haircut,
okay.
because I hit it just like I did with the other one, but this hair is, I think, cheaper. And I just watched it and it just was like, just like melted. I'm like, oh, well, you get a haircut. So I used her for practice because I made a custom Gwen Stacy spider uh,
Mm.
girl, and I need to cut.
But,
So,
I can relate to that. I saw so many doll collector we doing Barbie hair, and using the wash and all that thing. And I thought, oh, maybe I can use that too. So I did it also, and then I put boiling water on the hair, and there is, well, she got her shorter hair now, so
yeah,
you
it
got to go
happens.
with the go.
You got to practice.
Yeah, you learn.
Yeah.
At least you learn.
And it worked out great for the character. I mean, she's like this punky
True.
college student, so it's like, yeah, she just cuts her own hair and
Make more sense.
yeah,
Doesn't have like a fashionable haircut or whatever the
right.
thing is. But you do a lot of doll repainting in your characters?
I don't. I really don't. I always said that I wanted to, and I just don't spend the time on it. I love the stuff that you're doing, the 3D printing of the faces and the repaints and all that. It's just like, it's great, you know.
Don't know what you're talking about. What you Thank you, by the way.
But I look for when I look for heads and stuff, I look for things that are pretty much how I want them. And I just kind of go with that for the character. I don't really do much repaint.
I highly recommend you keep on that, because once you get into the rabbit hole with the 3D print and all that stuff, you never come back.
Yeah. Yeah, I did think about getting a 3D printer for a hot second, because I thought, oh, with Cindy's room and all the cool stuff there, I could do magic items, I could do weapons or, something. And it's like, do I really want to go down that rabbit hole? And it's like, no, I don't think I do.
You can get lost on it,
Yeah.
You can get lost.
Yeah.
I'm currently waiting for a new guy. So yeah, don't get in that. Piece of advice. You do you, I do me, but
yeah,
piece of advice, just so you know, it's a rabbit hole, and yeah, your wallet might insult you after that.
Yeah.
So
I figure I would do my modeling through wallet modeling, is what they do it. And the train stuff was like that. It was like, they called it checkbook modeling. So it's basically like looking for a nice sculpt. Like my son character, I really like that sculpt, even though everybody had it for some reason. All of a sudden, like, people were buying it all over the place. But I still was like, you know what, I like it, so I'm gonna go ahead and get it.
that was one of the issues that I had, because, like, for example, the Cindy head sculpt that you have, I had it for a long time, and she was there, and I never used her because I'm more male doll collector.
Right.
Sorry. So I had her, and I never use it. And now that I have her, I can't see. I just see Cindy. I can't see another character, because you have this one, and she has been so identifiable. You can just that it's her. You know what I mean? And so this is one of the main reasons why I got into the 3D print, because you can actually design the heads, and so you can't just see him in another story.
I like that a lot. That was when you were doing that, I was like, that is genius, because no one else will have that.
I know. All right. I know. Stop. But yeah, I thought about that, because, like, for example, Hilary from the Aurora story.
Yeah.
Like the main character, Hilary. Every time that I see that help skulls on someone else's account, I'm thinking, what the fuck is he doing here?
Yeah, I do that too.
He traveled this? Is that a crossover, and I didn't know about that? It's quite confusing.
Yeah, I avoid people's main characters where I can. I just, because it's like one of those, like, they're the main character in another story.
Yeah.
And it's very confusing. I've seen other people's characters, my characters, the head sculpts pop up on other pages, and you kind of do that double take. It happens with Aurora's stuff a couple of times, where it's like, wait, she's a lot bustier and showing a lot more skin. Oh wait, that's not her account. That's someone else.
Is exactly what I'm talking about, and especially when it's well made.
Right.
I want to say, because, like, for example, Cindy, the character by itself, it is well defined. It's a deep character. There is so many levels on her behavior, on who she is as a person or as a doll, and Aurora is doing the same thing. Her character is so well written, so you can't just go and find her anyone else. And like James, for example, too, when the character is so well done, it's pretty hard to just watch them in another account, because you can't just split. You can't see just the head sculpt. You see the character
Exactly.
wrote by someone else.
Yeah.
So it's pretty tricky.
Yeah. With the Legacy of Vera the Strong account, he's doing a great job with.
Wait, is it he?
What's that?
It's a he?
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was a she.
I've done. I thought that with your account when we first started talking. And it was like way back, whatever account that was, and it's just like, oh,
that's maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah. And I talked to Aurora. It's like, oh yeah, he. I was like, oh, I didn't know. And again, it's for me. I don't care because I'm not trolling for like hot girls or whatever. You know?
Sure.
I'm just.
But like, I get it. I get the feeling. She really is my fact checking every time that I'm wondering, is that a he? Is it a she? Is it a they? Is it a gay or straight or lesbian? I'm asking her first. Right. She had a better gaydar than I have, first of all, because I really thought at the beginning that you were gay. You were not. And I also have these same issues. I never know.
Yeah. And it's just like, I don't know.
Not that it doesn't, not that it matters, but
Yeah, well,
you have to know if it's a huge.
The only thing I see it mattering is when I'm like talking to someone else and it's like, oh, he, and it's a she, or she is a he, or whatever.
Exactly.
That's the only
exactly. Sure.
But what I really like is that, again, that storytelling and getting the deep kind of thing. What I was getting at with the Vera the Strong is there's this great blending of new characters with MCU Marvel characters, and it's just like this whole like, I'm a big Marvel fan, and so I'm just like, give me more of that.
I will add something about the legacy of let's write it right there. Legacy, the rise of Everyone Strong. Well, ever. He made me forgot that it was Natasha from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And that is a masterclass. That is a masterclass. I totally forgot that it was the Black Widow or whatever. He created a character that we can recognize, and it was just mind-blowing. I thought, okay.
Yeah.
Well done.
I love it.
Bravo.
Yeah. And it's not just, there's another account, and I'm drawing a blank on it. She does Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And that's another one where it's like they're the characters, but there's such a deeper thing to it. So with Vera the Strong, it's the same kind of thing. It's like they're the characters, and for me as a fan of that universe and everything, to see it so well done,
exactly.
I'm giddy every time. It's like, oh, Logan, oh, and then like
I know that's like, I know exactly. This is when you can tell that is a pure, well done fan fiction, because you get out of the main story and you just follow the new one, like it was the multiverse or something. Like it was totally connected.
Yeah,
having this capacity to make you forget that and to just jump in it.
Yeah.
Well done.
Fantastic.
But it's like what Steffi does. Steffi does the same thing about the.
Oh my God! Yeah. Yeah.
The Richard. I never watched the show.
Yeah.
And she made me want to watch the show.
Yeah.
Either that I never wanted to watch it or never been interested in the past, but just the fact that she is putting that, she made me want to watch it.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh,
and
this is talent.
I used to watch the show a long time ago. I was familiar with it, and then I saw her account. I was like, oh, this is that show. And then I started watching it, and again, it's that writing. And so I watch the show, and then I read her stuff, and she has the characters nailed, the way they say stuff, oh, that would be boss or whatever. And it's like, to take that and be able to extrapolate, it's this makes it for me. It's just like, it's so good.
And making people want to see the show.
Right.
That's definitely not the kind of show that I will watch or whatever.
Yeah.
But she makes me want to watch it. She just lighted up my interest in all the story and all the things. That is pure genius. Yeah. That is impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, good writing. I've seen stuff before where not necessarily all stuff, but just you know, movies or whatnot. For a while there, I was doing this horror show blog, and I realized, oh, I'm not connected to that community, so I don't get any. I just had to go back and look at old stuff that people might not have seen. Um, but I got in this kind of thing where I was getting screeners, and a lot of them were things. I had this whole thing on the account where it's like I don't say anything bad about stuff, so I would get certain ones and I'd say, oh, you know what, I can't actually review this at this time, you know, because I just didn't like it. But I got some really good ones that had really strong story, and maybe they didn't have a budget, so they weren't doing big stuff, but the story was so engaging and the acting was really good, and that's huge. And I think that's what, in, you know, especially in our blockbuster society right now, it's a tough one, because I like seeing the Hulk and I like seeing Thor and all this kind of stuff, but if you don't have the stories to support it, it's lackluster. And I think that's what's been happening. They've been trying to do like, hey, you like this character, get it out there, and then they don't support it with a
make a TV show, and then the TV show is going to make a movie about it, and you're going to have some product about the movie, so you can come with it and take photos for your Instagram account, and don't forget to tag us. We know that. You know, we are at this moment, and we can see that when you're watching the new Marvel movies, they don't do as well as it. They still do good, but not as well as they used to. And this, but mainly the story, those are empty.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, it's empty. This is why I'm churning a little bit more about short movies, because even though the budget is low, the story is there.
Oh yeah.
And as long as you have a good story and a good actors, you can go whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
The lighting and the sound doesn't matter at that point, because we are willing and craving for good stories at this point. As a viewer, as a readers, doesn't make think. We want to be catched.
There's one of my favorite short. Obviously I love horror, but one of my favorite horror shorts is Lights Out.
Never heard of it.
What's that?
Never heard of it.
Oh, it's super short. It's like 9 minutes long, but it's so solid. And then they took it and they're like, oh, we'll make this a movie. And they made it a 90-minute movie, and I didn't even bother watching it. And they did the same thing with this other short called Mama, which, oh my God, it's so good. And they took that and they made it in a full movie. And I watched it. I'm like, okay, it didn't need to be a full movie. It was a super solid short because the story was so solid, and there wasn't hardly any dialogue. It was just.
I had the same feelings about, but it is in the opposite way this time. It was a medium movie, not a long feature movie, not a short movie. It was Dear White People.
Oh yeah.
They made the movie. The movie was a masterpiece. It was just amazing. And they did a TV show out of it. And I was like, this is basically first season is the movie, but longer. We didn't need that longer. And then the second season come, and I said, no, thank you. You lost what you were thinking about, and you lost me on the track, because you don't need to put that long string, you know, this, yeah.
It's, you know, it is what it is. And again, I go back to that. There's so much like bashing of stuff, like, you know, bashing of stuff on Instagram, people's accounts. I know Aurora has been like targeted by, there's somebody who didn't like, she asked for advice, then when Aurora gave the advice, she blocked her and then started talking crap about her. And it's like, why are we doing this in this community?
But that is something, honestly, I was shocked and surprised at the same time, because that's the kind of bullshit that happened, no shade, but on the Barbie Mattel community.
Oh,
those people love drama and all that kind of stuff, and I was so shocked and surprised to see that it's happening in the 1/6 scale community. I mean, the 5 cents, especially, is more specifically community, because, well, if you have time to create a drama about that, there is a lot of accounts that I can share you the links of, make drama to them, because they deserve to be called out, you know? And I was just mind-blowing. If you don't want an opinion, you can handle the truth. Don't ask. I never ask anyone what they think about my stories, because I know that I will just be pissed, and I know that I will be not able to handle the truth.
Yeah.
So I'm just doing my stuff, and people like it, like it. You don't like it, don't like it.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna put myself in that position. Right. No way. No thanks. No.
And you see that all the time. I see that with, like, again, I like movies, and I like, I try to follow some movie accounts and stuff, but I get so frustrated when people go like, oh, look at this, like She-Hulk, right? I watched that with my family.
Yeah.
I liked it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was fun. I just had fun with it because I wasn't expecting that much. And I watched it with my kids, and everyone was laughing. We were all having a good time. It wasn't Endgame level at all.
That wasn't the point. That I can't get credit for that. But my main disappointment, I am a huge fan of lawyers, and well, I'm with the judges, so of course I'm a huge fan of that kind of stuff. I mean, my favorite shows are Drop Dead Diva and Ally McBeal because I love those kind of things. And when you tell me that there is going to be a low TV shows on the Marvel community and you're going to bring attorney in that show, I'm all for it. Like, seriously, I'm really go for it. But what I had is what I received as a viewer is people are making fun of Marvel Cinematic Universe, so we're gonna make a show to make fun of the people making fun of us, and that's really what they did. And I felt a bit disappointed because don't use that character to do that. She was one of the first with WandaVision, but even WandaVision, she had vision. She's not her own show. She was the first one to have her own show, and she doesn't deserve a great writing, and I don't know. And even if she said that my show is not supposed, because I like the fact that she's breaking the walls like Deadpool does, and I pretty much appreciate it. But at the end of the day, she said, don't use my show to just put some spoiler here and there and Easter egg for the fans. And guess what? At the end of the shows, I'll come and he have a son. Spoiler, my dad is never saw the show. And
that was
exactly my point is that if you want to make fun of those people, make fun, but make it good. Like a good roast. I love that. Like Wendy's does. I love the roast. Not that.
Well, but this goes back to what I was getting at is this kind of conversation. Like I can say, oh, I liked it. You said you didn't like it for these points. I'm like, I see your point, and I saw it with my family. The kids liked it. We all enjoyed it. Just fluff. So that's my point. But it's an intelligent back and forth. It's not that's dumb.
No. I mean, I respect people if they like to watch shit.
Yeah.
That's my no shade. No shade. But here's the thing. I mean, there is a sentence that you have in United States and maybe in UK as well. Agree to disagree. And I love that saying because it tells everything. It is okay to not have the same taste. We not have the same background, the same interest. But it's interesting to know what you liked and what you disliked, But
having a discourse about it, like, in the doll stuff, it's like, I know that, people may not like witch stuff or horror stuff or whatever. I don't expect people, if they don't like that, to follow my account. Why would you? Like I get stuff at least once a week, if not long, more. So-and-so just turned 18, in my messages. And it's like some girl in a bikini or something. Go check out her account.
Yeah, those ones.
No, why would I don't care about that. I delete it, but I don't sit there and go on the account. This is ridiculous. I don't want to, it's like, I don't have that kind of time. But there's a lot of people out there that feel like not only do they not like something, but they're going to go out there and they're going to say why they don't like it and all that. But they're doing it in this very like verbose kind of just
elitist. I call them the fake elitist system.
Yeah, it's
like you're watching from above someone.
Yeah. And it's similar to what I was, to bring it back full circle, is like why I don't post stuff on my personal Facebook account that much, because if I don't need to hear people say that. I don't need to like tee myself up for those comments, and I've told people, it's like, this is my hobby. This is what I enjoy doing. It brings me joy. If you don't like it, that's fine. I'm not trying to make you do it. I'm not trying to make you look at it. You know, just why are you on me for liking something that you don't particularly get? Like, just say, oh, I don't get it, but great. If you like it, great. No one gets hurt. It's not like, I love beating dogs. You know, it's like, yeah, jump on me about that.
That's problematic.
Yeah.
That could be problematic.
That might be something you want to jump in and say, oh, I think you're wrong for doing that.
Yeah.
But doll stuff, who cares, you know?
Well, that's to remind me of the doll account Plastic Plot. She's a Canadian woman doing Barbie stuff, and she has an amazing collection, whatever, and that's not related. She has made a tutorial on how to give the can with the long neck some kind of surgery to put them on a made-to-move body, like the 90s can. Someone commented on her reels saying that is just what did she say? Something like it's you are ruining your collection, you're ruining the dolls and whatever. Girl,
so frustrating.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
you know, she's not ruining.
You don't do it. You don't want
she's
to do
just cutting the neck to put them on a made-to-move body, and even if she's ruining it, she's hurting who?
Yeah, and she's bringing her joy. There's another account. I don't know what the account is. I probably wouldn't say it if it was. There's, you know, I like, you know, obviously, I mean, I like female forms and everything else, but I have a way of presenting them, and, you know, there's no, like, they actually have story, and they, you know, whatever. That's just my way of presenting women and relationships and all that kind of stuff, because that's how I feel. And there's someone who does these makeovers on these figures where they give them like really big fake boobs and big fake lips and all this, and they put a lot of time and effort into it, and there's craftsmanship there. It's not for me, and I would never go on and say, why did you do this? This is ridiculous. Or, you know, why would I do that?
Okay. No shade, but I might have done it in the past. There is this one guy who is having doll fights, and it's always photos of them. It's not even a male gaze at this point. It's more like a jerk way, you know, and well, it was a bit of a revenge, I must admit, because I posted the photos.
What?
Yeah, I'm that bitch. And I posted the photos because I was seeing a lot of the in the Feisen group on Facebook, a lot of female dolls that that are over sexualized, and people in the comments just, you know, share their jerk thought or whatever.
Yeah.
And I did kind of the same photos, but with a male doll, and I had a comment on that photos coming from him.
Oh.
Saying that, oh, poor, because it was the Michael Jordan head sculpt. Poor Michael Jordan. So I went to his account, and every single personality, celebrity that he had, I was saying like, oh, poor Natalie Portman. Oh, poor, you know what? You want to play? Let's play. I'm here for the cheat.
I mean, I could see that. I could totally see that. I see a lot of accounts, especially on Facebook, where it's like, there are some that like I've left a couple of groups because it's like, you know, women being tied up and all sorts of stuff. It's like, I don't need that. Like, sure. I like other pictures in the group, but if that's going to keep popping up on my feed, I'm like,
you know, you never know, because when you open the app, maybe the photo is going to pop out there. Yeah. Your daughter next to you, you know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, I don't, you know, and plus it's not something that, anyway, you know, even in my darkest stuff with in the Italy stuff where, you know, people were captured and all this kind of stuff, it was done in a different way. It wasn't
sexualized. That's the difference.
Yeah.
You know, having someone trapped somewhere is different than having someone trapped with the legs split and nude and sweaty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's on purpose. There is a purpose behind that, and that is something that makes me more uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And well, as you said, I'm not gonna shame them. I'm not gonna comment them.
Right.
Unless they attack me, then I'm going to respond for sure. But I'm not going to follow them.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
at this point, you know, if that makes you happy, go on therapy. But it's you. I mean, I do me, you do you. At the end of the day, it's the same thing. But yeah, that makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But you put me my question in my head because you have many different female character in your story. They have many different body shapes. They have many different skin tone, and you have also LGBT characters in your story. And I always wonder when I'm reading your story, do you ever second guess before posting? Is it going to be offensive?
Oh,
Is it going to be, you know, that kind of shit?
sometimes, but again, I'm dealing with, I'm dealing with like, my biggest concern was like at one point, I think, I have Steven in the photo studio. And at one point I think it was, there was an event at Bella's and Steven was into the male stripper at Bella's because Steven's gay.
Mm.
Um, and, and I think he was like, oh, he's gay?
Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah, because there's a way of like, I know gay people, I know you know, I know all sorts of people.
So
And
you can tell he is not homophobic. He has a gay friend, and that's me.
yeah, exactly.
I'm the token.
But it's one of those things where a long time ago, and I'll keep it short, but my then brother-in-law was working with, his boss was gay, had a significant other who was male, obviously, and he would present as not gay because of work or whatever it was. And so he gave me a heads up, like, he's going to say my wife, but he means his, you know, his husband, you know, because he wasn't comfortable being out, essentially.
Mm.
And so once he got to know me and knew I didn't care, then he started being more of himself. And you don't have to be like you don't have to present characters. Like, I'm not going to put Steven in like a pink shirt and makeup and stuff because he's gay. So that's what gay people are. No, that's ridiculous. You know, it's like to do the caricature of stuff. That's the one thing I try to avoid. You know, with like there was Lindsay, who is with Sophie. They're a couple, and Sophie has always been very, you know, I actually gave her a breast reduction at one point because I bought a figure that was, I didn't realize how giant the boobs were. And so I made that part of the story, but I tried to do it in a real way. I did some research first about what it was. And, you know, they had a talk about, will you still like me if I look different? And all, you know, I tried to really make it a real thing. And Lindsay had an issue with thinking some of her models were hot. And it wasn't because she was lesbian or gay or whatever. It was just because she had an issue with like the same thing that happens with men. It's like she thought someone was attractive and she's like, ooh, I'm a photographer, I'm taking pictures. So she wanted some pictures for herself, you know, and it just happened to be, it wasn't because she was, you know, a lesbian. It was because she just was driven to like, you know, nudies or whatever. So that's where I get in the thing where it's like, I don't want people to think, oh, I'm doing this lesbian character who's going after these women because she's a lesbian, and you know, because you got to watch out for those lesbians, you know, or whatever it is. It's just
sure, they're dangerous. Yeah, we all know that.
It's just her personality, and so that's the only thing I get into where, like, I don't do stuff where, you know, people are being accosted or you know, any of that kind of stuff because I don't like it, and it's like a big thing for me where it's like I don't think men should do that. So why would I present that in my story? There was some stuff that was going on with Heather back in the day when Melkin was around, that guy, where there was like mind control and all this kind of stuff. But even in that case, there was no hanky panky going on. It was just basically like him drawing her into his world so she would work for him and all that kind of stuff. So that's where I start making sure I don't cross lines that are just lines for me because I don't feel right about it. So I wouldn't want, you know, the tied up splayed leg people or all that kind of stuff because it's not my thing, you know, and it's not something I feel comfortable even presenting.
No
Um,
shade.
yeah,
But
so, but that's the only time I really like overthink, or not overthink it, but think through it. Like, how would this be like? And so, like I said, with the Lindsay thing, I really made sure that people just knew, hey, this is something that she had going on. She's kind of taking advantage of her position, and they had a big talk about it. And Sophie basically was just like, you can't do that. Like, shame on you, basically. And she's, you know what? You're right. That's totally my bad. And she stopped doing it. So again, using that as a plot point instead of a characterization of someone's, of a whole group of people, So that's where I really I like to think it through, like, how is this going to play out? But I usually don't. Because I don't present stuff that I have to be worried about.
yeah, that was speaking of the gay guy that we talked earlier. I was kind of surprised to see that there was a gay guy on the story, but also because you included him so smoothly that it wasn't a big deal, and I appreciate that quite a lot. That it's not a big deal. Speaking as a gay person, I'm kind of sick and tired to see all the gay people on the TV shows, on the movies, and they have always the same plot. They have depression, they are rejected, and all that shit. And I feel like I've never been through that in my personal life.
Right.
My family didn't give a shit about the fact that I was gay. The only thing that mattered for them is that I was able to marry still someone, and that I was happy. That was the main thing that they worry about. And I'm pretty happy to see that there is much more representation about the LGBT community nowadays.
Yeah, I
But
think it's important. It's, and with having daughters and stuff, and my son as well, I always made sure that they knew, like, hey, because my son for a long time, he didn't have a girlfriend and stuff. And I was like, oh, maybe he's gay. I don't know. And so I didn't beat him over the head with it, but I basically said, whoever you're into and liking, you never have to be afraid of, bringing him to our attention or whatever, because we just want you to be happy, and I say that to my girls now too. There's a lot more. They go to a Waldorf school, so it's kind of more of a airy-fairy kind of school. And there's a lot of people who, I identify as a boy and I'm a girl, or vice versa. And they're like, okay, like, we'll work with you on that and make sure everybody knows and respects that and everything else. And I love that. And so I make sure that my girls know, like, hey, if you're feeling that way, or you're feeling like you like girls, or don't like anybody, or whatever it is, always feel free to talk to me about it, because I don't care. I just want you to be happy,
Yeah, that's the most important thing you can tell to
Yeah,
your kid.
yeah, and it's so important. And to bring it back is the Steven character. I have a whole backstory for him based on my sister-in-law's friend who lives in San Francisco. He's gay.
Of course, he's in San Francisco. He must be gay.
He's, of course, and he's actually, it's funny because he's like 2 blocks away from uh, uh,
The Castro?
The Castro, yeah. So he's ticking all the boxes, right? But his family was super religious. His mom never really accepted him. Now that his mom is gone, his dad is coming around to accepting him. His siblings didn't accept him for who he was. So he'd go back there and it would be like, ugh, I got to deal with this crap, When you talk to him, he's not bringing all that stuff to the table. The only reason why I know about it is he's a friend of the family. He's known my sister-in-law forever, and I know his backstory, but he's not going around like, oh, well, my mom doesn't appreciate, it's just,
it's hard.
yeah, it's like, it's who he is, and it's who, how he became who he is. And
Yeah,
that's
true.
how I look at it. The Steven character, he has all that stuff because I was basing it on this guy. He doesn't sit around and he has this great relationship with Lindsay. They tease each other. They've known each other forever. I kind of based that relationship on my sister-in-law's relationship with Mark. And he doesn't go around like saying, oh, by the way, I'm gay, all the time, because who cares? That's not part of his job description.
True.
And I think that's super important is you could have these characters and people like Martha, she's not going around like, well, as a black woman, you know, it's because it doesn't matter. She's doing her job and trying to build a company.
Sure.
And it doesn't matter that she's a black woman. She's a black woman. She knows she's a black woman. People see that she's a black woman. There's no need to sit there and go, oh, as a black woman, she has to do this, or as a black woman, she has to do this with the company. It's just that kind of writing to me is just it's hitting people over the head with something that doesn't necessarily have to be brought to people's attention that way, you know.
Sure, but it's kind of, I think it's as a man, I always find it tricky. That's probably one of the reasons why I kind of had a moment with the Alola Pisons at the moment when I had only female characters, but I always had to second guess every single post, every photos, every poses, because I was a bit afraid that it was too much sexualized, that the photos was a little bit too much male gaze, and I had to second guess everything. And at some point, I just felt uncomfortable doing that. So I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna go back with the males, and it's gonna be cool. But yeah, it's pretty interesting that you work in different ways, and so far it worked. I never felt offended by anything by that stuff. So well done.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It's important.
Speaking of the
I said it's important. I you know, I joke around with it, like, you know, my bowing and all that kind of stuff, but hearing it, it's good for me because I don't want to offend anybody. You know, I'm not gonna sit there and go like, oh, witches. Like if some Christian person came up, it's like I think witches are all evil and, you know, yada yada. I'm like, okay, like that's, you know, I'm sorry,
good for you,
but yeah, but I'm not going to change my storyline to, you know, for that. But if I was presenting a person, like even with the witch stuff, I really, with a lot of my stuff, I don't do characterizations. I'm actually doing research and stuff on Wiccan stuff, you know, good witches, all this kind of stuff. It's important to me because even on that, there's people who are practicing witches, and I don't want to offend them. I'm really fascinated by it, and I think for me, it makes a lot more sense in general than organized religion, you know, does for me personally. And so I respect it, and I really want to present them in in a light. That's why I do have some bad people who do, you know, black magic and all that kind of stuff, but that's the character. But the witch community, I'm doing it in such a way where I'm actually researching stuff and I'm not putting pointed hats on them and, you know, all that kind of stuff. The characterization, I'm really trying to present them in a way even that is respectful to them. And you know, so I'm going the whole gambit. Like I don't want to mess with anybody. You know?
I understand that it's pretty tricky, but you're doing good so far.
Thank you.
So I would say, well done, darling. Well done. Speaking of the doll, I was wondering because you have many different body from different brands, many different heads from different brands. So if you had to pick one brand that you like for the bodies and one brand that you like for the heads, which one would it be?
Ooh.
Yeah, I thought it would be difficult. Yeah. Go ahead.
And then I'm just looking at the time too, so I have a hard stop at 12:30.
Yo, yeah. Don't forget that you, before the live, were giving the dog a little walk. You wake up before that. You had a coffee. I had dinner.
That's crazy.
You have to remember that your day start now. My day is going to be, after that, I'm going to go to bed because tomorrow I'm going to work. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So
before
keep that in mind before all daring to say that. How dare you?
Well, I got to take my kid to a birthday party is all it is. But
so you're going to drink beer.
What's that?
Complaining because you're going to go to a party, you're going to drink beer with the parents, have a cheeseburger maybe, or hot dogs.
Her off and leaving.
Keep them.
Yeah. Skating.
See you tonight, kids.
I'm not skating. Wow. I think I like Super Duck heads.
Yeah.
They're doing cool stuff. There's some what is it, Simon Fong, I think his name is. He's doing custom sculpts. That's the most amazing because they're all like, he does these amazing, like this super detailed stuff. It's really, it's great. But as far as like commercial stuff, I think Super Duck is the one that this pops in my head.
Yeah, I agree on that.
It's this, I don't know what it is. They're sculpts or.
Well, they have a lot of kind of different head. They can be either an OC, original characters, or they can be from the celebrities. So you can have the choices between the two of them.
That's true.
They have a lot of new heads that comes with movable eyes, and that's a must-have for me. So that's pretty dope as well. And also the paint job.
Yeah,
is beyond good. I mean, Gag Toys have amazing promo pictures, but as a promo,
yeah,
you get the product in your hands.
Yeah,
it can be tricky. So I kind of understand and I feel you for the Super Duck.
Yeah.
And about the bodies, so
the bodies, I really like the World Box. I think they're cool, but my whole thing is I really like when I take my photos and the like. I have a whole thing on my YouTube channel about posing and stuff. I cannot stand it when I see a figure, and I can't stand it when they're using the flash from their phone to take a picture.
Why are they doing that? Why are they doing
and I would never
that?
sit there
They
and go,
don't see it?
Yeah, and I'm like, it just, I run into that with train people as well. They were taking these flash photos, and so the train is all blown out.
No, even the hair looks cheap.
Yeah.
No one's wear that kind of hair. No, what the fuck? People who's watching this, don't use the fucking flash. No, it's upsetting. You know when we said that we don't comment on photos because people can make happy? I have to force myself to say, turn the fucking flash off.
Yeah, I've done that on a couple of people. They have great figures. They do the poses right. Everything else, it might, right. But the flash would get me. And I'm like, hey, if you have a Daiso or someplace like that, they have real cheap lights. Like, I don't know.
Even a lamp that you have on your desk, a desk lamp or whatever.
Like this thing, it cost me, I think, $3, $4. It has a stand, you could screw it on, and it has a thing where you can actually crank it up, and just one of these, you take the picture with one hand, you hold it, with the other. It's so much better, and it really helps, And so I look at that as, it's creative criticism at that point, where it's just like, hey, this is just something to explore. Do with it what you will. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I don't do it.
Now we just say you're bad, bitch. You're bad.
Little things like, especially with the Fisons, right? There's a little thing that happens where, because of the way the wrists are, I'm trying to get it to do it now. You see that little bump.
Yeah, I know.
But if you just move the hand a little bit, you can kind of correct some of that,
What I do, I turn the silicone.
You what? Oh, yeah.
I turn the silicone to make sure that it doesn't appear. Or if it does appear and I see it, I'm not going to just use the corrector on the Photoshop.
Yeah.
But, I get that. But it can be tricky.
Yeah. And
but I'd rather see that than flashlight.
Yeah, for sure.
Just saying. Just dropping that here.
But as far as the bodies go, like I said, when like the arms are covered and stuff, I do like the shapes of the World Boxes, and then you can get different bust sizes now. I got a bigger bust from Zoe at one point, so
I saw that.
It's pretty cool, and so I like that aspect. And now they even have, like, I'm not a foot guy, but there's foot people out there who really like to have like an elegant foot or whatever.
Girl,
you can get.
I saw them. I went crazy.
Amazing.
They were so detailed. And when you see those feet with different poses, with the finger toe and whatever, gosh, those was amazing.
Yeah, and that's a great thing too. Like the little, like the hand, it's really nicely done. So, but the joints still bother me. So that being said, I still lean toward Fison.
Yeah.
I think the Gio dolls, Claire is on one of those, and there's aspects of it I like, and there's other ones I hate. Like Claire, for the character Claire, it's great because she has like big hips and she's skinny and like a kind of a scrawny thing. So I do like that aspect, but overall, they get a little weird looking. And so as far as like the overall, especially now that Fison is doing more colors and doing things like, again, I keep bringing this up, but it's like wider hips, but not giant boobs. It's just like regular boobs.
Yeah.
Little things like that are huge. And like the reason why I switched Sophie is because I bought that body not knowing the cartooniness of the chest. This was ridiculous. But what I ended up doing is swapping her and putting Danuta on that body and then dressing her in a way to cover it up so you don't notice it.
Sure.
So that's not bad. But I'm just not that guy, And there's some people who love it. Like I got a question on Facebook from somebody. I'm looking to build the Gal Gadot Wonder Woman out of Fison. I want it to be seamless and all this kind of stuff. I'm building it from scratch, sourcing pieces and all that. I'm using this head. What would be the best body? And so I found one that had the Gal Gadot body shape, She's very athletic. She's very slim. She's very tall.
She was a model.
Yeah, she's not busty and all that. So I found one. I'm like, yeah, this is pretty close, and it should match the tone. First thing out of the guy's mouth is, her boobs aren't big enough. I want really big boobs. And so I was like, oh, so you actually don't want Gal Gadot. You want a big boob Fison.
No, you want a fan art of Gal Gadot. That's the difference. You haven't catch that, but I'm telling you, that's why he's looking for.
100.
But remember when the Tomb Raider, the video game, Tomb Raider, Lara Croft.
Oh, Lara Croft. Oh, Tomb Raider.
Yeah, American people. Yeah, I didn't get you because the accent wasn't there. So her, when she came back with Naughty Dog from the new trilogy of the video games, there were people calling out Naughty Dogs because the breast of Lara Croft was not big enough. And I was like, what the fuck, dude? She's supposed to be a teenager at the moment, so what the fuck?
Yeah. It's just, and again, great. If that's what you want.
But don't say that you want something that matches the natural actress or model or whatever, because 100%. It's not what's going on here. But speaking of, did you have one of those 2 new skin tones from the tbleague? I
haven't done it yet because I actually got a bunch of photos. We had this discussion. I finally ended up saying something because I am a light-skinned person of color.
You're a fake.
Yeah. I'm a mutt. But what people were doing with the darker skin, the dark skin was very dark. And it was like, wow, that's going to be a tough one to match. And people were taking Caucasian head sculpts and just painting them to match. And they were doing a fantastic job matching the color. But it's problematic. It was like,
no, you think it is?
And I was like, and then finally,
at the end of the day, you do you, I do me, but I won't feel comfortable doing that either.
Yeah.
So,
I finally ended up saying something to somebody, but I said it in such a way where I said, it's great having these color choices, but we need the head sculpts to go with them. We need.
That is where I always felt like I had mixed feeling about that, because I really wanted to have more skin tone, because I really wanted to have like Middle Eastern woman on my storyline, because I had Amir at the time and I wanted Amir to have a sister, but I couldn't get a sister because the suntan from tbleague is grayish, it's not suntan. So I was really bothered by that, but at the moment they have the body now released.
Yeah. And if with you, like you're doing 3D printing, you could 3D print a model ahead.
thought that, but I will have to go with molded hair, and I'm not into molded hair, and I'm not good at creating wig so far. So I will have to attempt that because I'm thinking that is going to be the only solution remaining.
Yeah, they are
Because
selling
they
6-scale wigs now too. They're
huh?
selling 6-scale wigs.
Yeah, but you have to make the proportion because I have to
Yeah.
fit.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah,
That's why I'm talking about.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so this is something that I had to think of. I'm still thinking of it, and I'm still hoping that one company will come out. I'm thinking SuperDuck might eventually come out with a set with the face and the clothes, because you never know. SuperDuck love to just give a full set, so I'm hoping they will go for it.
Whoever does, like, this faster they could do it, they're gonna be flooded with orders because there's a bunch of people who want that. And that now with the bodies and stuff, if you're the only player making those heads,
But that's the only thing. That's the thing, because we have seen a lot of 1/6 scale character based on celebrities. That means that we're probably going to have a Zendaya 1/6 scale because she never had the body to match the skin tone. Now we can find, and she's on the MCU. Well, not directly because she's in with Spider-Man, but that means that we probably going to see her at some point. And same for any singer or actress. There is many people. So I'm thinking that once in this, well, brick by bricks, but now I'm waiting for the head now. So
yeah, that's the thing.
that's fun.
I did notice that I had done that custom dye job on the Bison.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it took forever. And she's still kind of like, the joints are tight because I could tell I rusted her or something. But I looked and she's getting splotchy. And so now I'm like, well, maybe that's a good, I have it picked out. I just haven't purchased it yet. I'm going to get one of the curvier bodies. But then I wasn't sure about the color because it's like one of those things where I'm trying to match the head sculpt, not the way around. And it took me a long time to get the color right. So now I'm kind of working it in where it is just like, it's not so bad. So it just looks like that's her skin, you know. But if it gets any worse, I'm going to have to look at it. But I want it to match the head sculpt. So it'll be tough because, like we've discussed, there's no set color thing like this head goes with this. It's all just this vague, like pale, you know, dark or whatever.
Yeah.
Suntan, whatever the hell.
The suntan, I'm sorry, but don't call it suntan. Call it vampire skin at the, whatever. But don't tell me it's suntan when it's gray. You know, yeah. I'm not buying that.
And then
sorry.
One company's suntan is different from this other company's suntan, and it's just like
true.
You know.
But that's why I love about Giant Toys. Giant Toys, the company. They always, when they have a head sculpt, they always saying which body fits the head sculpt.
Yep.
And that is really helpful.
And if
you know what kind of skin tone match.
Yeah. If you're not sure, you can actually write. I've written them before, and they're super. They get back to you.
True.
You know, within a couple of, like, a day or something, and they're very, like, as far as customer service goes, they're great.
Because I really love the YM Toys. I think it is YMT. I love the head, but it's the same shit. It's never a perfect match for either a suntan or a pale body. You always have to struggle to find out if it's going to fit one on the other, and it's really helpful. They come up with the teenager head sculpt that you had to with the short hair. Where they say it's a teenager, she don't fit a teenager body because the neck is too small. Yeah. And even if she fits, the skin tone is
this craziness. Like it's I love the face. I think she's super cute.
Oh, the face too. I have her.
Oh my God, it's just so, like, it's so crazy. You have to shoot it in such a way where it's like, it's
tricky. But it's the same with, we talk about that with James, the R8 toys.
Oh yeah.
Same for them. The neck connector, a nightmare to match on a chivitic body. And even if he does work, the skin tone will be different. But I've seen that he had the World Box body for his one I8 Toys head. fits
Yep.
perfectly.
But
you have to
again,
know.
like, roll the dice. You know, it's like, ooh.
Yeah, and when you see the price of the head and the price of the body, well, it's pretty expensive roll dice.
Yeah, when I got the Claire head sculpt a long time ago, I got Olivia's body for her, and when I put it on, it was too small, a head sculpt for the body, and the skin tone was not, it was like one of those like suntan. No.
Yeah.
This is not suntan. She was very brown. And then I looked at the Jaya dolls, and they were a little more brown.
Mm-hmm.
So I went with that and switched her. But I have photos where like that really like defined a whole, you know, two different characters where it's like,
sure,
Claire would have been a whole different person, you know.
But the Jiao, I love their bodies because they have more skin tone, but
True.
Not at the moment because tbleague comes with more skin tone as well. But the body is so thin.
Yeah.
The
like I said,
legs
for Claire,
of the woman are so like it's a straight line,
yeah.
and the neck is so thin as well. Every time that you put your head on it, you just have this small neck and then the big body and big head.
Yeah.
It's really confusing.
Yeah. And the arms are very skinny and stuff. And like I said, I like it for that Claire character because it fits the character. But I really stopped. It's just like I haven't bought any more of those. I haven't bought that one I had Sophie on anymore. That's like no more of those bodies are coming into this place. And then Aurora covered this too. No more fucking fixed feet. Like I like the idea of using it in her video. She said that she uses it for like when you have like no shoes on or whatever. It's like a stunt body. And then the ankle joint, which is nice. I think the Vera the Strong page is doing that too. But you can't get them to stand. You can't put shoes on them. I hate it.
And it's really fragile because I have one that I have for a long time now. And, well, no time, 4 years.
Yeah.
And on the lower part of the feet, you can see that the skeleton is going out. So, not very,
I hate it.
Very happy about that.
Yeah. So no more of those are coming in here. I actually bought one by mistake. I wasn't paying attention, and I put.
But I was thinking that the prettier are the first who came out, because the feet have this heels kind of shape.
Yeah.
And those look really good if you're doing, like you said, you do your doll is at home and you want to just make her remove the shoes and you don't want to see the joint. That is very, very good.
Yeah.
But on the recent one, like the teenager body that comes with the feet, she have the same size as a male feet.
Yeah. It's weird. It's just like, what?
That was so disturbing. But it was doll orchid or something like that. The flowers, the orchids.
Oh yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So he told me that he had one of the body with the shoes with the big feet, and he put shoes in on the dolls, and it helped him to make her stand.
That's true. Yeah.
So
it almost works with Kim here. I put socks on her, and that works. And then the new Sun doll, I just have giant boots on her because that fits her thing. But I had to put stockings on to get them into the boots, and it's just like I'm like I don't know what's going to happen with that over time, but it works.
He's never going to remove the shoes again.
But
she's going to die with it on her.
Yeah. You can stand by yourself without being propped up against anything, unlike Kim, who is always like, oh.
There is always a drunk one in the group. That's her. That's her.
100%.
Okay, so I'm going to leave you now. I'm going to let you go to drop your kids to somewhere, to someone.
My wife is texting me, like, are you still going to do this?
Wait, hold on. James is saying that James also is going to bed because he also works tomorrow because in Europe it's night.
That's true. That's true.
9. Just so you know. But you proposed me, you said which hour fits me well. I'd like to do the interview, and I said it was pretty much helpful for me to do it right now. So Thanks. And I also thank you for taking the lead of the live, because apparently on my personal page it's getting a bit complicated. So I will know for the future.
Yeah.
So thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a
Fun.
nice day.
I will. What's left of it.
Sure. And well, we catch up on Instagram.
Sounds good. Take care.
See ya.